What I want to do here is, first off, thank you, Peter. It's a great overview of everything we've gone through so far. What I want to talk about here is specifically our formula field with Copilot. So, this is one of the biggest questions that I get from customers. It is a huge leap forward as far as the way that we're going to go through this. And really, what I want to get at here is, Rawsome has incredible data capture capabilities, and we've all seen that. We saw that with the last demo. What I really want to focus on here is capturing the data is only getting so far. What we really need to do here is kind of take that data and take it to the next level. So everyone has a specific process, specific things that they do, specific things they're looking for. So to get my data into my end system, it might need to be in a specific format. I might need to do some transformations. There might even be something I need to match to my process. So a lot of our customers ask, when I'm using Rawsome, can I make changes? How do I go about making changes? What's the lift involved with that? Who do I need to get involved? And what we want to talk about today is being able to take that step without having to involve, let's say, IT resources. Where in the past, I would have to make a request. This would take some time. Maybe would have to go through a couple iterations, design loops. In this case, we're giving that power to the people closest to the process. So if I wanted to make a change, I need to, have a specific format, specific thing I'm looking for. It should be as easy as just adding it in and making that possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of a challenge here. There are a couple of different business rules I'd like to implement, and we will use AI to create these custom fields, these custom flows, and I'll be able to show that off. And we're going to do this live. So if we can jump to my screen, perfect. What I've done here to save some time is I've just created these fields. They don't do anything yet. So we're going to get to building them and making them do what we need to do. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump in, and the first thing I want to do is I want to calculate my VAT amount. So if I click on this, this is a formula field. And what you can see here is I scroll down and I have the option to use Copilot to edit my formula. More or less what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask Copilot, I'm going to tell it what I'm trying to do, and it is going to write me a formula to make that possible. So if I come over here and say, if the VAT amount is missing, I want to calculate the difference between the total and base amounts. So what I can do is I can update my formula. You can see it's loading. Copilot is seeing what I've asked it to do. It's figuring out how it's going to do that for me. And you can see here, it's created a formula that calculates the VAT amount by taking the difference between the total amount and the total without tax when the total tax field is empty. So I want to see, all right, this is great. It's written me a formula. What does that look like? So I can test, scroll down here, and you can see here that Rawsome is taking the total amount and the amount of total tax, and it's going to go in here and it's going to calculate um, my VAT amount when my total tax is empty. So you can see here, I had my total base, my amount total, and you can see it's doing the math here, and I'm getting my calculated VAT amount. So I've been able to go through that. I've been able to test this out. I know that looks good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And I can save this and I can move on to the next formula. So moving along, the next one, I want to capture my vendor postal code. So I'm going to come down here, same flow. I'm going to go to Copilot. I'm going to prompt it with what I am looking for. Be able to enter that in here. And I'm going to update my formula. So again, entered in this information. I prompted Copilot. It's thinking, it's figuring out what I'm trying to do. And you can see extracts EU and UK postal codes from the vendor address using pattern matching. Let's see. If no valid postal code is found, it's going to create a warning. So it's going a bit above and beyond, right? We're using generative AI. So let's see what I got here. So you can see in this case, if I could expand on this. So I have my postal code. and again, have my postal code, have my postal code, and have my postal code. So you can see here, this one, I don't have a postal code, and it's created a warning here letting me know that postal code couldn't be found. So perfect, exactly what I've been looking for. So I can save that. And you can see how quick this is, right? With the past process, I'd have to go through, make requests. And of course, with generative AI, I can continue to prompt it, right? If it doesn't give me what I'm looking for initially, I can do a Copilot edit. I can amend my formula, right? And I can continue to work towards what I'm trying to do. So for my next one, what I want to do here is I want to normalize my vendor VAT ID. So again, same idea. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to enter my formula, and this is my rules for normalization, right? I want to remove special characters and spaces. So I'm going to update my formula. It's going to think about it. It's going to figure out how to do that for me. And now I have a formula that removes all my special characters and spaces from my vendor VAT ID, keeping only alphanumeric characters. So let me give it a test. And you can see, perfect. I've gotten rid of the dash. I've put it in the format I need. And now I have this field ready to go, ready to push out and export. And there's nothing else I need to do on the other end, right? It's ready to go right from square one. So I can save this. Awesome. So we're moving right along. All right. So the next one is I want to standardize my PO number. So same idea, going through, doing my edit. In this case, I have some different rules for what I'm looking for. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to let it know. So the first thing I want to do is remove all non-numeric characters from my PO. Then I'm going to check if it starts with a 45. If not, I'm going to add 45 to the beginning. Um, After it changes, the PO should be 10 characters long, right? If it's not, I'm going to create a warning. So I'm going to update this formula. It's going to think about this. It's going to implement, and you can see now I've removed all non-numeric characters from my PO number, and I've ensured it starts with a 45. I'm going to take a check. It has to be 10 characters long, and you can see here, right? This one isn't 10 characters. This one actually doesn't even have a PO. So what's happened here is I just added the 45. Now, this is a great, opportunity to make this better. So I can edit here, and I can say, you know, I'm going to ignore if there is a missing PO. So I'm going to update. And what we should do here is get rid of my um, my one that didn't have PO. Perfect. Did exactly what I was looking for. This is exactly how I want to normalize. This rule works wonderfully, and I'm going to save that. Okay, moving right along. So the next thing we want to do is we want to format a date, right? So I'm going to format my invoice date in the format that I want. This format is going to be year, month, day. That's what I'm looking for. So again, I'm going to edit. I'm going to convert the date to the format I want, and I'm going to let Rawsome do that for me. So really easy, takes a few seconds, and here we go. It's going to convert my issue date to the format I'm looking for, and I can test it, and it's going to show a warning if I don't have a date. And you can see here, here's my date, here's my newly formatted date, which was exactly what I asked it for, and that's perfect. Okay, moving right along. We're going to validate our due date. So what I'm going to be able to do here is I'm going to create a new rule, and this is how I'm going to validate my due date. So what I'm going to do, Copilot edit again, and I'm going to extract the number of days from the payment terms and compare them to the number of days between issue date and due date. So I'm going to update it. Okay. So what it's going to do here, it's going to compare my terms days with the actual days between issue date and due date, and it's going to return match if they align. Otherwise, it's going to return the that there's an issue. So if I look here, you can see Perfect. If it matches up, it matches. If it doesn't, it's going to let me know that there's a mismatch and then give me information about my terms and my actual days. So, what I can do here is that looks great. I can ignore, I can continue to edit this if I wanted to. Um, for instance, I can go in here and ignore if my terms are missing or if there's a date instead of a number of days in the terms. So I can update it here. And we can see this is perfect, right? Exactly what I'm looking for. This looks great. So I can save this. I can validate my IBAN. Come over here. Awesome. So I'm going to normalize and validate the IBAN has the correct structure. I'm going to let that think about it. And we're going to see what we got. Perfect. So it's going to validate the IBAN by removing, spaces and special characters, checking the length, validating the structure, and you can see here that it's actually validated my IBANs here. So that's exactly right. These are the IBANs. In this case, I need to remove spaces, right? So what I want to do here, remove all spaces. I'm going to update the formula. And we're going to take a look, and perfect. That's exactly the format I need them in. That is how I want my IBAN. I'm going to be able to save that. And now finally, there's one more rule that I want to implement. We've made it to the bottom of the list here. And this is to take the sum of my line items. So what I'm going to ask Rawsome to do here is I want to calculate, let's see, I'm going to calculate the sum of my line base amounts and compare it to the invoice base amount. So doing some math here, having it make me a formula, get this done, and we'll be able to test. So you can see what it's done here is actually calculating the sum of the line item base amount, and it's going to compare it to the total without tax. So it's actually going a bit above and beyond. And what it's going to do, it's going to show a warning if there's a discrepancy greater than 0.01. So let me test the formula. And you can see here, I have my line items. It is taking the sum, and it is doing that correctly. And it's even creating a warning here in some cases. So you can see this is different. It's following my rules. It's creating that warning, and it's taking my process to the next level. So these look great. I'm going to save it. We're going to take a look back at my documents, and we'll be able to see all of my formula fields. So if I grab a document here, we should be able to come in here and see. And you can see if I go up to my fields, I'm grabbing all of that data that we talked about, that we formatted, and it's all coming out exactly how I wanted it to. I didn't need to involve anyone else. I just prompted Aurora, I prompted Copilot, and I was able to get it to do exactly what I needed it to do. And now I'm not just capturing data accurately, I'm actually putting it into the format I need it to use it. So I'm taking care of everything in one step and taking a huge leap forward. Of course, didn't take much time to get it all done. And thank you for everyone for sticking with me. So thank you, Peter. That's all from me.